You ever look at those people who just changed the world? I'm talking about the scientists, the artists, the leaders whose work totally reshapes society long after they're gone. How does that even happen? Is it just some random lucky break, a stroke of genius, or is there something else going on?
And that's the big question, right? Are these incredible, transformative careers just an accident, or are they built on purpose? Well, according to the thinking behind this explainer, the answer is pretty clear. They are absolutely meticulously constructed. So let's dive in and see how it works.
The central idea here is something called the architecture of influence. And it's a cool way to think about it. The theory is that a career with major impact isn't just luck. It's built, just like a skyscraper. It has a foundation, it has a core structure, and it has a design that's meant to last. It's not a lottery ticket, it's a blueprint. And today, we're going to be the architects and break that blueprint down piece by piece. So where does any big construction project start? Well, you guessed it, with the foundation. This is literally the groundwork that everything else gets built on top of, and if this part isn't solid, the whole thing is going to come crashing down.
Okay, what's so interesting here is how this foundation gets broken down into two essential parts. On one side, you have your innate predispositions. Think of these as your raw materials, that natural curiosity you have, or a deep-seated empathy, or just that fire in your belly to master something. But here's the catch. Those raw materials are kind of useless if they aren't shaped by a formative environment. This is the whole nurture side of the equation. Your family, your school, the culture you grew up in, all the things that can either help that potential grow or just let it die on the vine.
And boom, this quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. Potential requires cultivation. It's not enough to just have it. The right environment can be like a turbocharger, an accelerator that launches you forward. But the wrong one, it can be an inhibitor, a massive brake that stops you dead in your tracks before you even get started.
All right, so our foundation is poured and set. What's next? Now we get to build the engine. This is the internal machinery, the powerhouse that's going to turn all that potential into actual, tangible stuff. Now this engine isn't just one single part. It's this dynamic, three-step process. First up, you've got to acquire skills. And not just by messing around, but through what the source calls deliberate practice. That is, a super deep, focused, relentless pursuit of getting really, really good at something. Second, you integrate knowledge. This isn't just about knowing one thing well. It's about pulling ideas from all over the place, from totally different fields, and mushing them together to create something brand new. And third, and this is so important, you identify a problem. All that skill, all that knowledge, it needs a target. It has to be aimed at a real challenge, a real need that society has.
So, you've got this solid foundation and this powerful engine churning away. But what good is a Ferrari engine if it's just sitting in a garage, not connected to any wheels? This next part is all about the transmission systems, the mechanisms that connect your internal engine to the outside world and actually make things happen.
The first catalyst is strategic networking. And let's be super clear here. This is not about going to lame cocktail parties and collecting business cards. No way. In the architecture of influence, this means deliberately building a powerful network of peers who can support you, mentors who can guide you, and collaborators who can help you build something bigger. It's all about strategic alliances that can get you resources and just amplify your work way beyond what you could ever do on your own.
Next up, persuasive advocacy. Having a killer idea is awesome, but it's only half the story. The other half is being able to sell that idea. You have to be able to communicate it, argue for it, and get other people excited enough to join in. This is the art of persuasion, whether it's through incredible writing, powerful speeches, or just flat out changing the public conversation around your ideas.
And our third catalyst is innovation diffusion. This sounds kind of academic, but it's really cool. It's basically the science of how a new idea or a new technology actually gets adopted by everyone else. See, it almost never happens automatically. It takes a real strategy to get an innovation to spread from a tiny group of early fans until it becomes, well, just a normal part of life.
Okay, so let's put it all together. The big takeaway here is that these three things, networking, advocacy, and diffusion, they all work together. They are the transmission systems. They're what take all the internal stuff you've built and translate it into real external impact. They are the bridge between your private vision and actual public change. We've built our structure, we've connected it to the world, but how do we make sure it lasts? How do we make sure it's still standing in 100 years? This brings us to the final and maybe the most important phase, consolidating a legacy. This is what turns a successful career into a permanent landmark.
This table breaks it down really nicely into 3 powerful ways to make your influence stick around. First, you've got institutionalization. This is where you literally build your ideas into the structure of organizations, like starting a whole research institute or creating a new law. Then there's intellectual dissemination. This is making sure your work gets studied and debated and built on by the next generation. And finally, the deepest form, the holy grail really, cultural embedding. This is when an idea becomes so woven into a society's values that people forget it was ever new. It just feels like it was always there.
So there it is, the whole blueprint, start to finish. It all starts with the foundation of your raw potential. That supports the generative engine of creation. That engine connects to the real world through those catalytic mechanisms. And finally, its impact is made permanent through an enduring legacy. It's this powerful 4-stage construction process.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. This whole framework, it's not just a cool way to analyze historical figures. It's meant to be a blueprint for the future, for your future. So the question isn't just about how other people built their legacies. The real question is, if influence truly has an architecture, what are you building?